All right. Well, apparently we're live. Hope you're all right. All right. All right. Welcome to Sabbath Lounge. I hope you're having a great Shabbat. Hope it's filled with rest and family and all kinds of good things. And hope the weather's pleasant. Got cloud cover here in Texas today, so not too bad. It was supposed to be scorcher hot, high humidity and lots of heat. We've had a lot of rain here. Very blessed by that. And so anyway, I just had a few minutes and wanted to come on and discuss this week's Torah portion, and kind of wanted to go through that with you. And so anyway, it is, or at least where we are, is week 19. So Exodus 25 through 27:19. This is a section of Torah that, when I was walking in regular churchianity, if you will, that didn't, I would kind of consider this flyby territory. This is the part of the scripture you're like, skip that. That's, I'm not sure about that. But the more I dive into it, the more interesting it becomes, and the more I see. I think studying, especially this section of Torah, you really see the heart of Yah. You really see how he operates and what's important to him on his end. And so if you're new to this, we do have a website. If you just Google Sabbath Lounge, you'll find the Torah portions on there, and you can find this slide show and more details. And if you have a Torah group, you can go to Sabbath Lounge, find the week, click a few times, and you're at the Torah reading passage. And if you don't like the version of the scripture there, you can pick a different one. But it's all pretty easy, and hope you can make use of it, and please share it if it's useful to you. Well, when we look at this week's Torah portion, we see that the ark is like our heart. He wants us to be built from the inside out. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you see a lot of emphasis on the internal parts of the ark, and the tabernacle itself is literally built from the inside out. And so why is acacia or shittim wood chosen? And I believe because it's carvable, it's easy to work with, and that's the way our hearts are supposed to be. And our Father uses the physical to reflect the spiritual. We should worry about the heart first, and the physical part later. But and then we look at vellum, and what is vellum? Vellum is made of animal skins. It's soft, it's pliable. Our hearts should be like that. And it's not what goes into our mouth that makes you unclean, but the words that come out of your mouth. The tabernacle is a temporary, movable indwelling of the Spirit. So think about these things. When you see God or Yah, he represents the gold, Yeshua represents the bread, and the Spirit represents the oil. And so we see those elements come together in the tabernacle. In the Holy of Holies, we have the following. We've got the light of the world represented with the menorah, the bread of life, the fruit of the vine. We've got the incense and the prayers, interacting with a temporary, fleshly covered structure that has a covering of purity. That's all happening there in the tabernacle. And it's pretty powerful when you put all those things together. The wood represents our heart, possible hardness, the flesh, the human interaction, and the temporary tents. And then we come into the Holy of Holies, and we see the Kaparoth seat, or we see the mercy seat, which is Kaparoth in Hebrew. And basically it represents a cover on the mouth of the Prince of the Cross. What's he not saying? He's covering the sin. He's not speaking of the sin that has happened and is happening in our life. So it's a beautiful picture that was right there in front of us all along in this section of scripture that we thought was flyover country, if you will. And I'm just blowing through that. I'm not really reading it, but when you start reading it on a regular basis, it comes to life. So we also did a teaching. It's on our YouTube. That is how do you produce olive oil, and we go into great detail about the olive oil and how it's smashed and pressed, and the connection between olive oil being used in the tabernacle and in the fuel for the fire for the lamp, for the menorah, and how to get olive oil, these olives are pressed and refined, and it's kind of like us going through the trials of life, and that's how we get to the good oil in us. Is we got to be pressed, we got to be tested to see what we're made out of. And Rock Island Books, I don't agree with all their theology, but they do have a good visual and video that goes with this called the Kaparoth or Mercy Seat. And so this week's Heave offerings, you see the tabernacle represented here. And the bottom line is we hope that you read this with a group of people, and if not, read it on your own. This is Exodus 25:27 through 19, and we encourage you to read through that section. And if you don't have a Torah group, you could use our resources here on Sabbath Lounge, but you could use Psalm 119's Fellowship Finder, and you could find a fellowship group near you. And best of all, with the beauty of this, if you don't have a fellowship group near you, you can start your own. This is a pretty simple thing to do. If you're like the rest of us, you eat and you drink and you so that you start with a meal, and you're going to have to eat anyway, and invite a friend over and just read the scripture, and read it together and discuss it and study it. And it's that simple. It doesn't have to be a complicated. You don't have to have a pastor or a preacher or a teacher. You just need to be able to read and interpret the Yah's word and apply it to yourself, and to think about, what does it mean to me, and what does it mean to my life? So I hope that you have a blessed Shabbat. Hope you have a blessed study wherever you find yourself, and encourage you to read the Torah portion, and we'll see you next time.